Hey guys, this is the Unsmooth Criminal, and this is going to be a what if that I don't know very much about. I honestly am a avid believer that horror games should never have should have existed ever. But that's my opinion. So if you guys don't like my opinion, take it with a grain of salt. I don't care. I hate horror games. I can't stand horror. People walking around the corner and I didn't know they're in that room scare me. So that's how scared I am most of the time. Let's get on with the story. So we start with a girl being born. She has a fox mutation. Not really a normal fox mutation, because normal foxes don't have the color scheme purple, orangish, yellow, and white. So this fox mutation is a fox mutation that resembles lolbit from, I think it was Sister Location, I think it said. So yes, I'm doing a fnaf version. A fnaf crossover. So. Oh my god. I have a great understanding of what the characters' personalities like in FNAF, but I do not have an understanding on their abilities. So if I throw in some abilities that this character doesn't have, please write down in the comments so I can fix it in the next part to this. So she's born, and her mother, Inko Midoriya, because she's going to be Izuki Midoriya. Not Izumi, not Izuku, Izuki. She... Inko is a valid believer that all mutation quirks are a sickness that needs to be eradicated. So she's like, I kind of feel a little sympathy for her. She's my daughter. So I won't kill her. I'll just leave her in the woods. She's not friends with Mitsuki, but that's going to be important. So we go to the Bakugo residence. They just had a child, and their child gets let out of the hospital the same day as Izuki. And Mitsuki sees Izuki and thinks, oh, she's cute. And sees Inko pick her up and take her out of the hospital. And like, okay, I should see about contacting them. Maybe our children can play together because they're roughly the same age. So she takes Bakugo out, and her house is quite a ways off the beaten path into the woods, because hers and her husband's quirks are very dangerous. Her quirk is nitroglycerin. His quirk is spontaneous combustion. At random times, he'll burst into flames, but still be fine, obviously, because he's immune to flames. So they take their son, and her family has had dog mutations before, and their son had a dog mutation. You can see where I'm going with this. So she's going home, and she sees the car that Inko hopped in, because she's like, might as well see what car it is that she drives in. And she sees them going towards their house, which they know there's no houses on that road. And they see Inko pull over to the side of the road, let him pass, and like, what are they doing? And she has her husband keep an eye on the car while she's driving, because she's driving. And he keeps an eye and sees the car door open. Two people get out. One person gets back in and says, I think she just left the child there. And Mitsuki's like, what? And she's starting to get visibly pissed because she's an avid believer that all children are supposed to be taken care of, no matter who or what they look like. If they look like a villain, so be it. Take care of them. Make sure that they don't become a villain. So she slams on the brakes. Bakugo almost gets sent flying, but since the car seat's backwards, he's safe. And she drives back to where the child is. And the husband and the wife blink at the same time. And the child appears in front of them on the dashboard. Bakugo can't see it, because, yeah. And the child starts to giggle. Like a child having fun and playing. And Mitsuki jumped when she opened her eyes, because she didn't expect the child to be there. And that's when the child started to giggle. And she picked up the child and saw that it had a fox mutation. Because she can recognize dog ears from fox ears because they're slightly different. Fox ears are slightly more pointed. Dog ears are slightly more rounded at the top. And she noticed that and she's like, "Aw, it's cute." And she hands her to her husband and says, "Hold her. Don't let her run." And he goes, "Fine." And they take her to the house and they call up a personal doctor of theirs. And they call him and he comes down and he has a shock absorption or a absorption quirk. So any quirk used upon him, he absorbs the damage and he just goes to somewhere and like flicks and all the pressure that he has absorbed gets sent out. It's a mutation though, because he has a horn on his head. Like a rhinoceros horn. That kind of horn. So he kind of looks like a unicorn. So he arrives and he sees his child and he asks, "Who is this?" And they go, "We don't know. We would like you to see your records in the hospital that we just left." And he goes, "Okay, I'll check." He snaps a picture of the baby, takes it. A few days later, he calls up saying, "This child's name is Izuki Midoriya. Her mother, Inko Midoriya, left the hospital the same day you did with her." And she goes, "Yeah." And she left her out on the side of the road in the forest. So why don't we... And she looks at her husband and goes, "So why don't we adopt her?" And he goes, "Sure. We could deal with another little brat around here." And she goes, "Yeah. Especially since of my personality mixing with yours. That's going to be like fire and ice." And he goes, Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't turn out more like you." And she goes, "What does that mean?" And he goes, "Nothing. Just that you're very explosive when you get emotional." And she goes, "True." And so they talk about it. They get this idea down that they're going to adopt her and make her a part of the family. So she's now Izuki Bakugo. So she doesn't know her original name of Midoriya. She thinks that she's always been a Bakugo. We skip 4 years when they get their quirk evaluated. Bakugo gets explosions, and they identify the type of dog that his quirk is, his mutation quirk is after. A Pomeranian. And they identify that the mutation quirk for Izuki is a fox. And her abilities are called fnaf. That's it. Nothing more is said about this. There's no list of abilities that she can do. It's only said as fnaf. And the doctors are puzzled by this because the machine normally tells them what the abilities are. And Mitsuki and her husband, who's currently holding them down because they normally fight, play roughly, and hit each other hard. Bakugo heals at a normal person's rate. On the other hand, Izuki heals like she never got hit when you blink. So, and the doctor's like, so has anything happened that will tip us off to what her quirk can actually do? And Mitsuki says yes. Her quirk allowed her to teleport into our car. And the doctor knows exactly what happened that day. And she goes, I did? When? And she goes, that was a long time ago. You don't need to know. And he goes, so what happened when she teleported? And Mitsuki goes, I don't know. I blinked and she was there. And everyone's like, okay, what about this? You two shut your eyes. I'll shut my eyes. Bakugo, you think about her appearing in front of you and shut your eyes. And he goes, okay. And she's like, ooh, I'm going to scare Bakugo. And they all shut their eyes, and then Bakugo opens his eyes and yells. And she starts laughing. And Mitsuki knows immediately the reason and goes, Izuki, apologize. And Izuki says, sorry, big bro. She just calls him big bro because she is shorter than him. Barely, but she's shorter than him. And he calms down and goes, it's fine. You need to stop doing that, though. She goes, but it's funny. And she starts giggling again because she thinks it's hilarious scaring people. And they go on through their day. Bakugo and Izuki are now the kings and queens of school because they have the strongest quirk. Bakugo has explosions, and people tried to pick on him because of his mutation, but he just beat them up. And Mizuki just scared the shit out of everybody when they tried to pick on her. So, we go to beginning of middle school. I don't know when middle school starts for Japanese people. So if I get the age wrong and you happen to listen to this while you're in Japan and you know the time, please tell me so I can know and I can learn better. So I can learn more about other cultures because I love learning about other cultures. This is a quick side note. I love learning about other cultures and their educational system. I'm honestly not going to educate people, but I love to be educated. I love learning. When it's not behind a computer screen. I hate doing that. When it's in movie form, I love learning. Back on topic. So, they're roughly 10. No, 12. They're 12. 4 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, or 3 years in high school, and the rest is college. They're 12. And they're known as the top dogs, literally and figuratively. And she's known as lolbit. And everybody's like, what? Why is her name lolbit? And they all go, because she likes laughing and she says lol a lot. That's why we put lol instead of little bit. Because when we said little bit, she took that as a insult to her height and scared the crap out of us. So now we call her lolbit, which means little laughter for us. And they go, oh, why was she nicknamed that again? And they go, she's scary as crap and she likes laughing about it. So we call her lolbit. Because all she does is laugh. And they go, oh, okay. And then she appears in front of them when they blink. And she goes, I heard you talking about me. And they go, oh, crap. And their heart's pounding because they're scared of her because she just appears out of nowhere at any time of the day. She even appeared in front of one of them while Well, he was at his house, and he got scared. He screamed like a little girl. So she started laughing, and then he blinked again, and she was gone. So they're all scared of her. And she hasn't showed her other abilities. So most people know that there's another form to most FNAF characters in the FNAF game. The normal character and then the nightmare character. I'm going to make a nightmare form for her, but I do not know if that's actually part of canon FNAF. So if it's not, please tell me, but I'm making a nightmare form for her. So, her abilities. She's increased in speed, strength, stamina. Her intelligence is up, and her awareness is up when she's in base form. But when she's in nightmare form, everything is times by 100, except for her intelligence. She goes purely off of instinct when she's in nightmare form. So it's like a wild animal being cornered in just cornered, or a wild animal having rabies. They go purely off instinct and rage. So they attack anything in sight. And we're about to figure out why. So, one day, there's a villain attack on the school. And this villain's name is All For One. And he went for a specific kid's quirk. And he was watching this kid, and this kid can hide his mutation very good. But he can't hide his quirk, because he uses it a lot. And All For One grabbed this kid by the face and tried to take the quirk. But lolbit, the little nightmare of the school, freaked out because this was her family. This was the person she loved the most. It was Bakugo. Katsuki Bakugo. And her eyes started to bleed. Her skin started to shrink, like decay. Her muscles started to atrophy. She started to look like a zombie. And she started to twitch. Uncontrollably twitch. And everybody's seeing this. And they're like, what the hell happened to her? And All For One feels this pressure and this terror wash over him. And he doesn't know why. And he finally is like, I can't take your quirk. So he drops him and is about to stab him, trying to kill him. But he blinked when he pulled back his arm. When he blinked, somebody put her hand through his head. And when he opened his eyes, he saw a horror sight. He saw the girl in the picture atrophied, zombified, and eyes bleeding. Jagged rows of teeth. The most horrid monster you could think of that looks like this picture, he saw. And he did the one thing he'd never think he would do. He screamed. And by the time All Might has arrived, and he sees this monster, and he's like, what the hell is that? So he sees the monsters attacking All For One and stabbing him over and over. And all you hear is a childish giggle from her. And she's just giggling. Each time she stabs, she starts giggling again and again and again. And it sounds like a repeat of the same laugh track for a giggle. And it sounds like a child. Like a 2-year-old child giggling. And it's very creepy. And he is screaming his head off, being stabbed by this monster. His regeneration quirks aren't able to regenerate. So he finally uses his teleportation quirk to teleport. And his eyes are open constantly now. And she sees that Bakugo's fine, and she starts calming down. Her muscles regrow. Slowly, but they regrow. Her skin goes back to normal. Her eyes stop bleeding, but the trail of blood is still there. And her teeth go back to normal. And she face plants onto the ground. And Bakugo sees this and runs over and asks if she's okay and trying to shake her awake. And All Might's like, stand back. Very dangerous right here. And he goes, yeah, that's my sister. And All Might looks at her and goes, oh, sorry. Come with me. And he takes her to the police station or not the police station, the hospital, and asks, give me a quirk canceling collar. And they do. And he puts it on her. And Bakugo goes, what are you doing? And he goes, that is a very dangerous quirk, young man, and I need to ask her what happened before she can use her quirk again. And he goes, why? She saved my life and many other lives when she fought that villain. And he goes, yes, I understand. That's why I'm only giving her the quirk canceling collar and not chaining her up to the bed. And he goes, oh, fine. Mitsuki is immediately called when the police find out who she is. And her biological mother is called too, saying your biological daughter was just in a fight and tore up a very powerful villain easily. And her hearing this, her biological daughter, she's like, she goddamn survived? What the hell? A monster like that? And she heard that she's that powerful. She's like, ooh, I could use her. So, I'm making Inko a bitch in this one, sorry. If you guys are all Inko fans, I'm making her a jerk. So, Inko runs in before Mitsuki. And Bakugo is like, who the hell are you? And she goes, I'm her mother. And he goes, no, you're not. And Mitsuki runs in and sees her and goes, oh, you're the one who abandoned her. Now leave. I'm her guardian. Leave. And he hears this and she's still out cold. And All Might's like, okay, who's the guardian? And what is her legal name with guardianship? And Mitsuki goes, her name is Izuki Bakugo. I'm her legal guardian. She left her on the side of the road. And All Might's getting mad at this. And he goes, ma'am, please leave. And he's pushing her out of the room. And she's like, no, I want to be with my daughter. And he goes, leave or I'll put you outside. And she's like, fine. And he calls up Naomasa saying that there's an abusive mother at the hospital for a child that could possibly be the next number one. And he says this and Naomasa goes, okay, I'll be right there. And Naomasa shows up and he's talking to Inko, and Inko's saying that she lost her daughter, she ran away, and she's giving a bullshit story. An absolute bullshit story of what happened to Izuki. And he's like, okay, I'll talk to her, I'll get the story fully. And Izuki's starting to come to. Bakugo runs over and grabs her hand like, you're okay. Thank God you're okay. And she goes, what happened? Last thing I know is you get grabbed in the face by an old man. And she's rubbing her head. She has a headache. And Mitsuki goes, do you remember anything that happened? And she goes, no. What the hell happened? Why am I in a hospital? And she looks down to see that she's completely covered in bandages. She's like, why am I covered in bandages? And when she looked down, she felt something on her neck. So she grabbed it and she's like, why do I have a collar on? And All Might walks in and she sees him and goes, oh my God, it's All Might. And he goes, haha, I am here. And she goes, so cool. And Bakugo goes, yeah. He's got some questions for you, but yeah. And she goes, yeah, All Might, what are they? And she's enthusiastic to answer them. And he goes, do you remember anything of what you did to the villain? And she goes, I did something to the villain? And she's absolutely blanking on this because she doesn't remember anything from it. And he goes, yes, you took down the #1 villain in Japan. And Mitsuki, who is a lawyer in this one, she is still a lawyer. I think still a lawyer. I think canon she's a lawyer. I don't know. But she's a lawyer in this one, and she goes, oh, okay. It was self-defense. And he goes, I know, I understand. But I didn't see a little girl. I saw a stone-cold killer fighting the villain. And she goes, what? I fought the villain. And I don't remember. Technically, it wasn't me. Or it couldn't have been me because that. And Bakugo goes, no, you fought the villain. You were laughing the entire time. She goes, what do you mean? And Bakugo pulls up Instagram, or Instaface, or Bookgram, whatever you want to call it. Not sponsored, by the way. Terrible social media platforms. All of them are terrible. The only good ones are YouTube and Discord. And he pulls up a video that someone posted immediately after the fight. And he shows her the zombified being that she became. And she's like, what the hell? That's like a nightmare form of me. And he goes, that's a good name for it. And she goes, you better not comment that's the nightmare form. And he goes, try me. And he immediately starts typing. And she goes, if you do, I'll scare you for the next week. And he goes, oh, crap. I delete. And there's no thing. And he goes, that is a good name to put down for your quirk. And she goes, fine. And they call in one of the doctors and say they want to add a detail to her quirk. And they've already gotten all the details of her quirk being increased intelligence, playfulness, instincts, and all that. And they say that apparently her strength was unmatched by the #1 villain. So we don't know her strength limit. And it may be a very dangerous thing to bring back this form without a reason or some way to control it. We don't even know if the quirk canceling collar is actually working. And she goes, it's not. And she just snaps it with just 2 fingers. She just snaps it. And I go, that was expensive. And she goes, oops. Sorry. And she starts to grin slightly, being like, I'm really sorry. I didn't know it was expensive. And they go, it's fine. A lot of villains break those all the time. We know how to fix it. Making them is expensive. Fixing them, not so much anymore. They go, and she goes, okay. Thank you for forgiving me. They go, oh, we're not forgiving you. You still got to work that off. It's like $100 to fix it. And she goes, oh, crap. What do I have to do? And they go, you got to take out the trash 1 time. And she goes, oh, that's easy. They go, there's 400 garbage cans in this entire building. And she goes, oh, crap. And Mitsuki starts to laugh because she was about to ask what can she do to repay the favor of forgiving the item breaking. And so she's released the next week, and she's told to meet up with a pro hero at a bus stop. And so she meets up with this pro hero, and this pro hero's name is Eraserhead. And it's a quick test to see if her strength or any of the benefits from her quirk will be turned off by his. And she's seeing someone get attacked by a villain, and she's getting flashbacks of what happened to Bakugo. And she's not that far from the bus stop. Aizawa can see her, and he's waiting for her to go towards the bus stop. And he sees the same thing happening to her that he saw in the video that All Might sent him. And he goes, oh, crap. And he activates his quirk, and the nightmarification stops. And he's like, oh, okay, so that's good. And she drops to the floor. He's like, oh, that's not good. And he runs over, and he sees what triggered it. And he sees a person raping a little girl. She saw a helpless person getting assaulted by someone else, bigger and stronger than them. Bakugo against All for One. So he runs over, he stops it, and he waits for her to wake up. And he says that I found the trigger for your quirk, and I know how to stop it. And she goes, really? And he goes, yes. And he hands her a choker. It's not a normal choker. It looks like a dog collar. And it has a little sign that says lolbit. And she goes, what the hell is this? And he goes, it's a quirk canceling collar. And I think you would like this design more than the normal one, because the normal one's bland. This one, white, purple, and orange. Like you. And she goes, oh, ooh. And so she puts it on. And he goes, it looks good on you. Now, when you see a crime with a helpless person being attacked, the thing that you turn into, and he mentions thing that she turns into, and she goes, she's called my nightmare form. Stuck on no social media because of my damn brother. And he goes, okay then, your nightmare form triggers. And I canceled you turning into your nightmare form. And she goes, really? And he goes, yes. So, it apparently looks like your nightmare form is a separate quirk from your normal form. Quirk. And she goes, what? Sorry, someone's on a motorcycle. And she asks, how does that work? And he goes, I don't know. Don't ask me. But I just tried it. You're about to go all ape shit on him. And he points to the person that's currently cuffed on the floor with his pants down. And she goes, is that the guy that assaulted? And he goes, yes. So she walks up to him. And she just kicks him in the ribs. And goes, that's what you get. And he whines out in pain because he just got kicked in the ribs and he couldn't even defend himself. And she goes, I feel better. And he goes, okay then? She goes, so, what about training? And he goes, well, for training, I need to find a way to help you control your nightmare form, besides the quirk canceling collar. And she goes, that's impossible. And he goes, why? And she goes, I black out every time my nightmare form happens. So I can't control it. And he goes, well, you need to at least control the transformation trigger. And she goes, how do I do that? And he goes, well, one way is you could get a handle on the emotions you feel, or we could use hypnosis abilities to help with that. And he explains that there used to be a hero in training named Azura that used hypnosis to help with her anger. Yes, I'm referring to old what ifs. That I'm still gonna finish. I think I need to finish that one. I need to check. And he refers to that, and she goes, okay. Anything else I could do? And he goes, trauma exposure therapy. And she goes, what? And he goes, you get exposed to the thing that caused you the trauma. And he shows a video of Bakugo getting attacked from a random pro hero that knows that if he hurts Bakugo too bad, he's going to get his ass whooped. So he just punched Bakugo really hard in the stomach, making him cough up some saliva. And she started to feel weak and helpless again. And she's like, I don't know what's coming over me. I just feel so weak and helpless. And he goes, okay, so that's the trigger. You're feeling weak and helpless and you feel like you can't do anything. When that's actually false. You are strong. You are not weak. You are not helpless. You are strong, you're fast, and you have the ability, you have the increased agility and instincts from your quirk. And she goes, well, so what does that do? And he goes, well, one thing it does is it allows you to fight better. And he goes, I can teach you how to fight if you wish. And she goes, yes, please. I'd love that. And he goes, okay. So come here after school every day and I'll teach you how to fight. So they continue this till the end of middle school. And Aizawa has taught her everything he knows about fighting. And she's taken up a midnight-styled fighting, sadistic and brutal. Because she doesn't want to feel helpless anymore. So she wants to make the other person feel helpless so she doesn't feel the way that she did when Bakugo was attacked. So we go to the sludge villain incident. The sludge villain attacks her and he blinks. Well, he kind of can't really blink, but he blinks. And she disappears. And he goes like, where the hell did she go? And she's behind him and goes, looking for me? And smiles and he goes, what the hell are you? And she goes, I'm a monster. And she smiles at this and he goes, what? What do you mean you're a monster? I'm a monster. And she goes, no. You're a villain that has a very bad quirk. I'm the monster. And she gets a big devious grin. And I'll be right back. So, thank you, Mina. Oh my god. And thank you, sis. You guys are great help with this, because you guys are the FNAF experts compared to me, who doesn't know a single thing about FNAF. So thank you. These are all of lolbit's abilities that I can show you right this second. So I've been using the teleport. I've been using the increased strength and that, because she is technically a robot in the FNAF world. So I haven't been showing off the hack because I didn't know about it. The permeation / glitch. I can put that in. I can put that in as nightmare form when she gets control over it, because I'm going to give her control. It's glitchy. No, I'm going to give her another form. Sorry. I'm going to give her the glitch form, nightmare form, and then glitch nightmare. A nightmare glitch. So I know you guys are wanting like a perfect what if. I'm not going to be able to do one. Sorry. I don't know enough about FNAF 2. Yes. Please. Ooh. But thank you, the Ultimate Gamer. He gave me a great suggestion. So, we go to Aizawa's training, and he says that she needs to go into nightmare form and stand still. And so she's like, okay, I want to go into nightmare form, and I want to control it, so I stand still. But she can't go into nightmare form. She forgot to take out the quirk collar. And all of a sudden, her body starts to separate. And it starts to separate like a glitching pixel, glitching pixel in a video game. Like the pixel moves off to the right and back every few seconds. And Aizawa sees this and tries to activate his quirk because she has the quirk canceling collar off. And nothing happens. And he goes, okay, you could stop. And he tries to touch her to get her attention, but she's permeable. But in this version of permeation, she can breathe. So she's like, okay, wait a minute. She counts up a minute and stops. And Aizawa's like, can you hear me? And she's, ow, stop yelling. I can. Jesus. And he goes, okay. So I found out something about your quirk. And she goes, what? And he goes, apparently you have 3 forms. 3 forms from what we can find out. Normal, what looks like a glitchy form and then a nightmare form. And she goes, okay, so we need to update my quirk. And he goes, not yet. We don't know what the nightmare form can do. And he's like, glitch, glitch, glitch. Ooh, try to hack into my phone when you're in that form. And she goes, okay. And she glitches, and instead of leaving her eyes shut like she did originally, she opens her eyes. And instead of being white-eyed with purple irises and a black pupil, she has black eyes with purple irises and a white pupil. And he's like, what the hell happened to your eyes? And she sees him talking, and she goes, And he goes, can you hear me? And she goes, no. And he goes, how are you understanding me then? And she goes, I can read your lips. And he can hear her because she still can talk normally, but all the waves that normally touch her ears for her to hear are going right through her, so she can't understand him vocally, but she can read his lips. That's how permeation people can talk to people. So we move on to the find out of her hacking. And he says, okay, hack my phone. And she goes, okay, I'll try. And she thinks about getting into the phone and looking at all the dark secrets in the phone. And she sees some images that she didn't want to see. And she made his phone blow up because of it. And she's like, the hell do you do? And he goes, what? He goes, I saw those pictures of your wife. And he goes, that's a secure folder that is hidden in my phone. Not even my wife knows about those. And she goes, well, I saw those. Damn, you're kinky. And he goes, oh God. And she goes, now I have some blackmail on you. And he goes, if you blackmail me with my own damn pictures, I'm going to hurt you. And she goes, if you could. And she's still glitching. And she walks up to him and goes, try me. And he tries to grab her by the shoulders, and he passes right through her, and she goes, ha ha. And he goes, you can stop now. And so she stops and goes, try me again. And he tries to touch her, and when he touches her, her body turns to nightmare where he touched her. And he flinches back, being like, what? And she goes, what? And he goes, your shoulder. And she looks at her shoulder and nothing's wrong with her. And she goes, what do you mean? And he goes, this. And he touches her again and it shrinks, going atrophied and the skin pulling apart like a mummy or a zombie. And she looks over and sees that it's nightmared. And she goes, oh, that's a problem. Yeah, that is a very big problem. Huh. So she thinks of having it spread all around her body except for her head. And when she thought of this, it started spreading. And her head started to detach from herself, glitching. And it started to float like a meter above her. And she could barely... She could barely not get into electronics around her, because her nightmare form boosts everything, and the glitchy nightmare form has everything on 10 million% stronger. So we go to the 10-month training arc, and she's been practicing with Aizawa, All Might, and Endeavor, because Endeavor's like, I want to meet this monster that you consider a monster and that we need to practice with. And he got his ass whooped. He grabbed Aizawa by the face, and Aizawa's eyes widened, and he said, let go of me or you're dead. And he's like, why should I? And his hand gets pierced. And giggling is heard. Aizawa's gone, by the way. He's not in Endeavor's hand, because Endeavor blinked and Aizawa left. And he saw a hand in his hand. Through his hand, to be more exact. And he looked at this and he's like, what the hell just happened? And he hears the giggling. And he remembers the video he saw. And he's like, oh, crap. He gets stabbed over and over and over and over again. And Aizawa shows a video that Bakugo prepared for them just to make sure that if she goes berserk again, they can calm her down. And it's Bakugo singing a song. And this is the only way that they've figured out to calm her down. Normally they have Bakugo with them, but that day they didn't have Bakugo with them. And he sang a song. And I'll be right back with the song. And he sings this entire song. I'm not going to play the entire song. I just wanted to play that section. And he sings the entire song, and she calms down. Because every time she activates her nightmare mode, she's subconsciously hurting. She's remembering the incident, and she's subconsciously reliving the incident over and over and over again when she activates nightmare mode. But glitch nightmare mode, everything's on 3 times speed for her. Except for the world around her. So everything slows down. She relives the moments over and over. So her nightmare mode kicks in, but she keeps sanity because of glitch mode. A little confusing, I know. So we go to a sparring day with Endeavor, All Might, and the rest of the top 10 heroes. And she was ecstatic to meet them. She loved the top 10 heroes. She thought they were a glimmer of hope in the darkness for the rest of the world. And Mirko loved her because she was super energetic and wanted to fight. Until Mirko got her ass whooped. Until that happened. Once that happened, Mirko's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You are so strong. And she goes, yeah, I only use the glitch form, and that only doubles my power. I haven't used any of my other forms. And Aizawa goes, thank God he didn't. We wouldn't survive. And Mirko hears that and goes, how strong are her other forms? And he goes, well, she's a sadistic little jerk when she's in nightmare mode. And Mirko goes, nightmare mode? And she activates glitch nightmare mode. And she goes, yeah, everything below my neck is nightmare mode. I'm not activating nightmare mode completely. And Aizawa goes, and that is glitch nightmare mode. And Mirko looks over and sees her with her head off her shoulders. And she screams, being like, what just happened? And she starts to giggle because she still loves people screaming at the weird things that she can do. Like the teleportation, the just appearing out of nowhere, or from the ceiling. Just the little things that get people. She just loves doing it. And Mirko, flinching at this, she started to giggle and deactivated glitch nightmare mode, and she starts to laugh hysterically, wondering how she forgot about the fun of scaring people. And Bakugo has been paranoid this entire time that she hasn't been scaring anybody. Because he thinks, oh, she's just gearing up for a big jump scare one day. And he wasn't correct at all. And Mitsuki saw that she stopped scaring people and got focused in training so she didn't hurt anybody. And she still does wear the collar, yeah. And Mitsuki saw that she didn't wear the collar one day. And she was like, oh God, what's going to happen? And Bakugo was like, okay, so the collar's off, jump scare is coming. And nothing happened that day. Absolutely nothing. She wasn't at school. She wasn't doing anything. She was at Endeavor's house with Todoroki and Momo. Because Todoroki and Momo went to the same school. Todoroki has a crush on Momo because he's not as... oh, I hate myself because of my father's quirk. Emo. He's the antisocial kid, though. He still is. And Momo is the brainy kid that everybody likes but also hates because they say smart-ass remarks every 5 seconds. But they're really useful when you're having an argument and you just want to win it because you know you're right because the brainy kid can agree with you. So, we go to... what is it? We go to the entrance exams. And these aren't just any average entrance exams. These are 10 times harder entrance exams because the top 10 heroes' children are attending UA that year. And they need to be prepared for destruction. But the top 10 children, and there's 3 of them from the heroes that are in the top 10. Best Jeanist had a son. I'm just adding a new character. Best Jeanist had a son. He has the same quirk as Best Jeanist. Endeavor's son. And... I forget if Rukyu is in the top 10. If she's not, I'm adding her to the top 10. She's number 10. No. Mirko isn't... no, she is in the top 10. Best Jeanist, Rikyu, and Mirko. No, Best Jeanist, Mirko, and Endeavor. Those are the 3 children. And he has a similar dressing style as his father's, except for Todoroki. Todoroki absolutely still hates his father, but isn't an absolute emo about it. So he doesn't take after his father at all. He actually takes after his mother and wears light clothes. So we go to the middle of the test with only 4 people in this city. They have to get at least 100 points each to get in. Mirko's daughter easily gets in. And I'm going to say Mirko is the mother to Hagakure in this one. Just saying. I know it's not canon, but it's canon in this one. Todoroki gets enough. And... Izuki gets 10 times more than she needs. Because she hacked the robots to start fighting each other, and she was just in glitch the entire time. When she's in normal glitch, her arms start being pulled apart, and her legs start being pulled apart, but she can still stand. Like her. But when she's in nightmare glitch, only her head is off her shoulders. So, yeah. And she hears someone crying out for help. It's Hagakure, who's stuck underneath the 0-pointer. And she's like, I could just make it stop. Or I could destroy it. And she's like, I want to destroy it. And Hagakure blinks, and she's like, ooh, perfect timing. And she teleports in front of Hagakure and teleports her away, and Hagakure doesn't feel like she's under the rocks anymore. And she's like, what? And she goes, good. Now close your eyes. And Hagakure goes, okay. And Hagakure closes her eyes, and she goes, thank you. And she teleports in front of the 0-pointer. And the 0-pointer doesn't have a camera into the observation room, because they know if they have cameras, she can't use her full abilities. So they turned off all cameras and had trackers instead. So they know exactly where each candidate is, but can't see them. So she teleports to the 0-pointer and touches it. And she's like, oh, this is going to be light. So she locks her claws in, picks it up, and throws it. I know that's not really realistic with how strong the original lolbit is, but this is my what if. I get to do what I want. You can't always get what you want, but in my what ifs, I get what I want. So let's see. And the robot lands in the field with Bakugo. And Bakugo sees it coming towards him and he yells, run! And everybody looks up and sees what's coming and they all run. The only one left is Ochako Uraka. And Bakugo's like, ah, crap. So he uses explosions to pick her up and keep flying with her. And he throws her out of the way and he lands skidding and rolling across the ground. And he's like, damn it, sis. Gotta do it all the time. And at this point, Bakugo has been told by Mitsuki that she isn't his biological sister, that she is a adoptive daughter to Mitsuki, so she's a stepsister to him. And he's like, okay. And what they never knew is that he already knew that. Because she acts different than him. She acts different than both their parents. She looks different than both their parents. She has a massively different quirk. So he put it together because he's not stupid. And he put it together that she's not biologically related to him because it's kind of dumb to have a completely different quirk than your parents. Even with a mutation. It's kind of dumb. So he put it together, and ever since he put it together, he saw his sister in a different light. He just still calls her sis. Little sis, and sometimes a little bit, but she flips out and scares him as a revenge plot. And she gets revenge by scaring him every single day, and he gets revenge by calling her a little bit. So it's a constant fight back and forth. And at the end of the test, Hagakure runs up to Izuki and asks what's her quirk, and she goes, my quirk's name? That's an S rank secret, my friend. And Hagakure hears S rank and goes, oh, your quirk is that strong? She goes, no, my quirk is S ranked. And she goes, oh, my quirk is only S rank. And she goes, oh, that's still strong. And she goes, I know, but I didn't think an SSS rank quirk was going to be here. And she goes, no one expects the little guy. And she goes, hey, yeah, you are really little. And Izuki stares at her and goes, you want to say that again? And Hagakure gets this feeling of unease when she heard this voice. And she goes, no, I don't. And Izuki goes, good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go pick up my brother. And she teleports off when Hagakure blinks. And she goes, damn. She's really good at that. And she goes, thank you, and teleports away. And she was right behind Hagakure, waiting for Hagakure's reaction, because everybody has a different reaction. And so she just said thank you and teleported away, because That's the first time that she's been complimented on her quirk instead of being called a monster. And I'm going to end it there. If you guys like, please comment what you liked. And if you guys didn't like it, please comment what I did wrong so I can hopefully fix it in the next one. So, talk to you guys later. Bye! Oh, crap, my phone's stuck.